Tony's Garage for episode 4 of the turbo tonner build. This episode we're going to change the K-frame or K-member, take the V6 one out of the tonner and then put the V8 one in. I'll show you step by step how we do that. Let's take a look. You can see I've already removed the V8 K-frame out of the wreck. For your conversion you will need a V8 K-frame because where the engine bolts down on these engine mounts is different. I'll compare it to the V6 K-member in a second. Also the rack is different. The orientation of the power steer lines is also different. So to make the conversion very simple, V8 K-member, V8 steering rack. All the hubs is the same from V6 to V8, so all your struts that you have in your V6 already and your brakes that you have on your V6 already will bolt straight to it. They're exactly the same. Let's show you the V6 one. You clearly see, different, completely different. And the power steering lines are also different. If you can see that. Now I've already started taking this apart a little bit. I've undone the steering knuckle. It is a single 13mm bolt that you pull out. Single 13 if it'll focus. Yep. And it's got a flat spot on that bolt. As long as your flat spot's not jammed against the square edge, spin it round so it's not square, you'll be able to pull that bolt out and that knuckle will slide straight off. It's definitely the first thing you'll need to do. One other thing I'll note is that these nuts that are attached to the frame rails, they are the nuts that accept the bolts that hold the K-member in. So a little bit of WD-40 on them definitely makes it easier. The other ones under there you can still spray it. So I've sprayed them. I have already taken this side apart, that's why you can't see the bolts. Let's have a bit of a look at this side I've taken apart. There's the brake rotor and the bolts out. So this is the stage you need to get it to roll that K-member out. There's two 19mm bolts that go through the strut, through the hub, top of the hub. 19mm one side, the nuts are 22. There's also the 14mm bolt on the bottom of the sway bar link pin. That also will need to be undone. And the two bolts that hold the caliper to the back of the hub here, 19mm as well. So they will all come apart. I'll show you how I pull that all apart. I'm actually going to try a tripod out and get a bit of an action shot going on. And yeah, let me get you set up on the tripod and we'll give it a go. Let's get stuck into it. First off, get the wheel off. I've got a rattle gun, makes it a bit easier. Most Commodores have 19mm wheel nuts, so just get them out. Cap off. Simple stuff. Wheel off. Might have to muscle it if it's been on there for a while. Tends to get a little bit rusty around the ring here, and the wheel will probably get jammed on. Right. Next thing you want to do, if you can see, is there's two 19mm bolts on the back of the caliper. You can't see them, but there's two that hold it in the back here. You want to undo them. probably hear the air compressor going off. You need to get yourself some wire. Put it through the caliper. And also another trick, you got to undo this ring here, this little grommet in the strut for the brake line. That actually has to rotate. Just spin it a little bit and it'll slide out. Probably need to spin it a quarter of a turn. Once that's out, you can dislodge your rotor, slide that off the rotor, slide the caliper off the rotor, I mean. And then you got this bit of wire here you can twist up around your spring. Get it up at the top there and suspend it up so that the weight of the caliper isn't hanging on your brake line, destroying the crap out of your brake line. Just a couple of twists up there, and that'll hold it. That completely did not work. Try again. There you go. Alright. She's hanging there nicely. No weight on that line, so it's just suspended. Now, you can't really see it, but I'll bring you around so you can. Next thing you need to get is that link pin off of the sway bar. So you can see the link rod there. They're 14s, and most of the time it will spin in here when you try and undo it, so you can put an open end spanner down in there to hold it. And you'll be able to get your socket on there and undo it. Sometimes you can get lucky and it'll just undo without spinning, but most of the time it will not. Okay. Not quite enough. Typical story. And you can see there it's spinning. Hopefully that's enough. You wouldn't read about it, would you? Alright. Once that's out, you can pop that out. That removes the sway bar link rod to the strut. It will stay in the car with the strut. Okay. I'll move you around again. Now we want these two bolts here. Got a 19mm on this side, 22mm on the other side. First, what I might do is just pull this rotor off. Get it out of the way just in case it falls. It just slides off. Then we can undo these a lot easier. Bound to happen. Bloody getting used to working near this camera. It's out. Then you just have to pull that hub down and just shimmy it out of the strut. Now that's actually free. The whole K-frame here is free of the suspension. So we're going to have 4 bolts to undo. There's one that comes up through the bottom here. There's actually a hole here to put the extension through, 16mm. And then out the back There's also one up through the bottom here. It goes up through there, extension, but that's 18mm. So I'll get them out and we'll just about be ready to pull the K-frame out. Long 18. Long 16. Yeah, that compressor's pretty old school. I know a lot of guys are using electric stuff these days, or battery stuff, but compressor is the way to go for me. Alright, you can actually see that that K-frame has dropped down a tiny bit, because it's virtually ready. Now if you hold the front, you can see I've got a block on the front of the jack there. That'll take the front of the K-frame. And we can grab one hand in front and slowly let it down. It will rest on the jack just nicely. And you should be able to pull it straight out. Pretty simple. Now I've got this K-frame up on blocks so I can slide that jack back under there, so let me get that back under there and we'll get it up and bolt the V8 in. I've rolled that K-member up in there and started jacking it up. I've already got my 4 bolts started. It's still loose. But just as a tip, I found that while you're jacking it up, it's not going to be sitting perfectly level, unless you fluke it, of course, sit on that block. So you just look, and you've got 4 points where the 4 bolts hit. Slowly jack it up until the first point touches. Now my first one was that one, so then I went over into that corner, shimmied it over and just got that 1 bolt up, started at 2 turns. Come back, jacked it up a little bit more and looked for the second one. The second point to actually hit was the other back one. Once that touched, went under, started the bolt. Then it was square. Lift the front up, jacked it up a little bit more and then the front 2 started real easy. So I'm ready to tighten those 4 bolts up, the K-frame will be up, and we'll get started on putting the sides back together, all the bolts and the rotors and everything like that. Right hand side, it's all tightened up. Thought I'd just go over it a bit so you can see it sort of together. Sway bar link pin, push back through the sway bar. 14mm nut, put a spanner on the other side to hold it from spinning, nice and tight. Your 2 hub to strut bolts, 19mm this side, 22mm this side. Throw the spanner on there, rattle them up nice and tight. Then also I'll show you the caliper bolts. See them there? 19mm there, 19mm there. That holds the caliper on. Make sure they're nice and tight. And one thing I didn't talk about, but I will talk about, is this little plug here. That's an ABS sensor. Now my car does not have ABS brakes, so I do not need this, but if you're converting into a car that has ABS, you need on your K-frame the little looms that come with this. Or you could even use the V6 ones still. Make sure you unplug them and re-plug them back in again so your ABS works. Now those lines, there they are there, just so you can sort of have an idea. That's the grommet that normally goes in the inner guard there, so the wire comes through. And this little plastic bit here, or rubber bit, would normally sit on top of in that bracket like that too if you had ABS. Just to make sure that you guys out there that have got the ABS brakes, make sure you put these back in. They are a must have. I'm lucky, no ABS. Alright. It is in there. Everything's tightened up. Steering shaft knuckle bolts back on the 13mm. You just slide it back up from the back through the opening, slide the bolt through. Very simple. That's everything from the factory, just bolts up. That's what makes this swap so simple. A lot of people say it's not worth it, just buy a V8 car, but if your heart's attached to the VY V6 that you got and you need to make it V8, it's definitely doable. I've got all the wheels on, back down on the ground. You've seen how it went back together. One thing I did do is I used this torque rated extension to do it on wheel nuts. Oh, that's convenient. Hush. Yeah, I use that torque rated extension to do up all my wheel nuts, so they're all even. I think it's 100 foot-pounds, that one. Does them up nice and even. Alright. That's the end of this video. If you liked the video, hit that like button. Got any questions, make sure you throw them in the comments and I'll answer them for you. If you're interested in following this build, make sure you subscribe, hit the little bell. That'll notify you every time I bring out a new video. I'm getting stuck into this thing pretty quick, so the videos will be rolling out pretty quick. I'm hoping from start to finish it's only going to take about a week and a half. That'll probably do for this video. Next video, I'm going to work on that engine bay, tidy it up, because we're getting real close to dropping that motor in. So next video I'll be working on that engine bay, getting it prepped up, ready to slide that motor in. Have a good night, day, wherever you are at, and I'll talk to you soon.